one of the things you should take away. Mobile nutrients and immobile nutrients. Mobile nutrients are the kind of nutrients that will move in the plant when there's a deficiency. So the biggest ones would be nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, not a plant killer. So that's basically, those are the three numbers you see on a fertilizer bag in general. Immobile nutrients are going to be, you're going to see symptoms in like the top of a corn plant or something, in this case. Tissue testing, that's going to be sort of like a check, sort of like once you think you've found out what the problem is, you go back and based on a predetermined level, like a standard, you can tell what the problem actually is with hard numbers as opposed to just qualitative results. And there's two different kinds of nutrients that people test for and are aware of, mostly concerned with. There's macro versus micro. There's the first bullet is nitrogen. It is your macros is your nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, sulfur. It's kind of surprising, at least to me. Calcium and magnesium. And then the other two are, the second one is micronutrients. They're going to be less likely deficient and also harder to pinpoint because they're more likely to look like environmental problems. And that last bullet there, it's just something to keep in mind is that carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen are what plants are composed of, and that they affect the availability a lot more of nutrients. So when you're diagnosing, you're going to start out with the first step, and that's going to be to assess your environment. You can do this using a tensiometer, which measures the amount of moisture in the soil, which can sort of lead you to diagnosing the drought stress. And there's disease versus nutrient deficiencies, and I talked about that earlier. That's going to be more about more of a uniform pattern in nutrient deficiencies are going to have a less uniform pattern, and disease patterns are going to seem more external. You're going to see something that isn't right. It's going to have these little brown pustules in the case of something like rust disease, which is which can be common in corn. So soil testing, that's sort of developed benchmarks. For the handout today, you're not going to need that. It's going to be pretty obvious. We're going to go through some examples and stuff like that. Values are going to be most important to you before you start any kind of production, because that's going to give you sort of a baseline at what you're going to want to apply. And after you harvest, that's going to be another key number, because it's going to tell you how much was taken out by the plants, how much you need to replace the following year. And there's different sampling methods that give you different results and give you a whole different picture of the situation that you're in. So depending on the size of your field or location, you use a different method. So let's get into the whole meat of this. The identification using the symptoms. So with the nitrogen deficiency, you're going to have chlorosis in a V shape more than any other kind of pattern. So it's going to be coming in towards the V, in towards the middle of the leaf, the midrib. So think of, I guess, sort of like a cursive letter or something that comes in towards the center like that. And the location on the plant is going to be on the lower leaves, so larger leaves on the bottom are going to be more likely to show those symptoms. And this tells you that it's a mobile. And this kind of problem also tells you that it's mobile. Phosphorus deficiency, that's another problem that's less common, but still something that definitely affects root growth, so it's definitely important. Otherwise, your crops will just blow over. Symptoms are going to include plant stunting, which is just overall shorter growth. Green to purple color, progression from leaf edges. So the second leaf in the picture there, that's a really quite severe phosphorus deficiency. So it's not a real picture, but it's a rendition. And again, it's going to be on lower leaves, but it's going to be on the leaf edges, and it's going to be purple generally. So the last one, third major nutrient, potassium deficiency is going to be seen as chlorosis and necrosis. That's the real key factor on the lower leaf edges, and it's basically going to look like somebody, for lack of a better image, just took a match to it and burned around the edge. That's what it's going to look like. And once you think you have your culprit, you're going to want to do a double check, and it's important when you're doing these things to consider when you're sampling because of nutrients being deficient or in large amounts in the plant. So you might get some kind of skew when the plant's a little bit bigger or when the plant's a little bit smaller. Sample size, that also depends on your field size. All right, so we're going to get to the activity, and 2 to 3 people per group. I think that just basically, you guys could be a team of 3, you 2 could be groups. The handout consists of a word bank and different pictures of plants with ailments on it. So if you guys have up on one table. And I should note that in the word bank, everything can be used once. And if you need help, you guys just let me know.
We're identifying deficiency. I believe there's something with nitrogen. Yeah. I think they were doing it on me.
If you guys have trouble seeing what's on the paper, I know the pictures are a little small. I put started with nitrogen. If you guys just want to ask me any questions, I can help you out.
There's some drought stress. It might be disease.
Should point out that with drought stress and disease insect damage, I didn't give you guys pictures, but for drought stress, that's basically going to look like, well, think of like a sponge. If a sponge is dried up, it's going to be more shriveled. It's going to look kind of crinkly. That's sort of your key indicator for that in this case. And for disease, insect damage, that's going to be more patchy, I think, would be the word. That's what I would use. So it's going to look sort of best way to describe that would be, for lack of a better descriptor, diseased. You can kind of get an idea when you see something that is diseased. That, it's just going to look less healthy. Oh yeah. I should note to you guys that disease and insect damage gets broken apart, so you could circle one or the other or write it down. That could be on a different line, but they do get split up.
And these are corn?
Yeah.
Like,
So you guys, we can start going through this. I can kind of walk you guys through it, so you kind of see it. Start with the first one. It's a little bit difficult to see, but there's no real signs of yellowing, and generally it looks kind of lighter in color, maybe a little bit stiffer in general, scrunched up. So, any ideas? Yeah. Exactly. Stress. Number two, it's a later stage of it, but that kind of makes it a little bit easier to see, I think, at least for me. It's going to be, since it's coming down towards the middle, it's going to be nitrogen. And for number three, since there are more, it's more of a purple color in general around the edges. It's a little bit a darker color, less. It's almost golden brown. I can see there might be some kind of confusion, but that's going to be phosphorus. If you go on for number four, you can see that the middle of the leaves is not necessarily yellow at all. So that's going to be more of a potassium. Since it's around the edge, you can see on some of the right side of the leaves are going to be yellow. They're sort of brownish on the edge. And number five, you can see there are some healthy leaves in there, and there are some sort of more affected leaves. So that's going to be your diseased one because it's sort of patchy looking. And the last one is a stem borer, to be more specific. It wasn't expecting anybody. You didn't know specifically, so all right. But that's the plant's falling over. It doesn't grow. The leaves might have a little bit of some kind of deficiency showing, but it's going to be insect damage. So that's pretty much that's it.
Just look out and then it's like 2 o'clock.
Anybody got anywhere to go after this? All right, knock it out.